Hello everyone, my name's Amanda and welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be doing another Sims 4 speed build video, but this one is going to be for my Willow Creek renovation playlist. So in case you missed it, I am going through all of the lots in Willow Creek and either renovating them or rebuilding them, mainly for my own gameplay. I kind of wanted to do this just so that I can find the game a little bit more immersive. So on to this build, we're building on the Potter's Splay lot, I believe that's what it's called. As I mentioned, it's in Willow Creek, and I think this is a 30 by 20 lot, which I do wish I'd built this particular build on a slightly larger lot, because I would have given them a little bit more of a back garden than what I ended up putting for this build. But anyway, on to this particular build. So this particular one is going to be for a family, and a little bit different to what I normally build for. So for example, this one is going to be for a grandmother. So it's like a grandmother's a family home, and then she's living here on her own, and then her daughter and granddaughter have moved in with her, as I kind of imagined that the daughter's husband passed away, and she and her mum kind of come to this sort of agreement that her mum was going to be leaving her this house when she passes away anyway, so it would make more sense for her daughter and her granddaughter to move into it now, and then any money she has they've put towards kind of remodernizing it and adding a few of their own touches, and then the grandmother's there to help raise the granddaughter, and then the daughter's there to help out her elderly mum. So that was what I had in mind for the gameplay I have sort of for this house and the family I have for this house. I have actually just finished making the Sims for these as well with the help of my 8-year-old daughter. She absolutely loves Cass, and I'm really not a Cass person in the Sims. It's all about building for me, but she really loves the Cass. So a lot of the time if I build a house, I'll sort of say, oh, this is the family I have in mind, and then she will do majority of the Sims, and then I might just go in and do a few little tweaks, or we'll work together. It's quite nice really. So yeah, we've just finished doing the family for this house, and I'm looking forward to jumping in and playing with them a little bit. But anyway, back to the build. So for the shape and the exterior of this house, I was working from, I think it was 2/3 reference pictures, predominantly 2, and they kind of had a little bit of a modern cottagey farmhouse look, so I kind of took some inspiration from that, but I wanted this build to still fit in the world of Willow Creek. Now personally, I don't really like the look or the style of a lot of the builds in Willow Creek, so I want to modernize some of them, but I still want to keep some of those Willow Creek characters in the build so that the house still fits in with the world that you can't really edit. So yeah, I hope I kind of achieved that. There would have been a few things I might have done differently looking back now, but I do really like how this build turned out. And it's quite large and spacious for the amount of Sims that are living there as well. So usually a lot of the time what I'll do is, once I've got my exterior done, I go in and do my windows and then my floor plan. This time I done it a little bit differently, and I kind of jumped in, did my floor plan, and then finished off the windows, because how I done the back of the house needed changing, as otherwise there wouldn't have been no windows on one of the bedrooms, and obviously that wouldn't have worked. So I took out the bump out and swapped it for a chimney, because I do like to have some characteristics going around the building, whether it be bump outs or chimneys, things like that. And then I did do a side porch onto this house as well, that you can basically use this as the entrance to the house and then onto the back garden as well, because I did this a little bit different. I did the doorway entrance going straight into the kitchen, and then that side entrance actually goes into more of a hallway space. So yeah, it was a little bit different, but I quite liked how this floor plan turned out. So we're coming in, I wanted to get a majority of the front and sort of side landscaping done. I did pop a few trees in the back as well. And then I'm going to jump in and we're going to do inside the house and all of the rooms, and then we jump back and do the back garden. I did feel as though I jumped around a little bit backwards and forwards in this build, just because there was a few little things I kept remembering to add, and I was being a little bit indecisive the evening that I built this as well. So I kept going backwards and forwards, and I had lots of things to cut out when it come to editing the video, as there was Like, for example, one of the wallpapers in the house, I think I changed it about 10 times, and I thought no one wants to sit and watch that surely. So I did cut out some of that because, like, yeah, I was just being really indecisive. Does anyone else get like that sometimes when they're building? Like, sometimes I'll go into a build and I'll just know what I want. I'll get it done and it'll just all flow. And then there'll be other times where I'll go backwards and forwards. And it's usually when I'm working on a style that's a little bit different to what I'm normally working on. So we're moving on into the kitchen, and I went for this stone effect wall because I felt as though it brought some of those farmhouse vibes inside. And then I've used this throughout the build in a few different rooms as well, kind of like as feature or accent walls. And then I went for the more cottagey, country looking counters, but I ended up changing out the upper counters to these more modern looking ones, as I wanted it to have that kind of maybe like halfway through a renovation look, so it's got a mix of both styles. And I think that's why I did find certain parts of this build a little bit tricky, as I'm definitely more of the kind of builder who leans into more of the modern aesthetic, but I want to push myself out of my comfort zone and try a few different styles. But yeah, for this build I did have it in mind when I was adding in things like the dining table here and items like that. I kind of pictured that maybe when the daughter moved back home, she sold her house that she was living in, and they've used some of that money to start renovating the house, so anything new they've had to buy has more of a modern touch to it. And then obviously, of course, the daughter's moved back home and she's adding in maybe some of her furniture and things like that. So I hope that does come through. Now, when I was building this, it was just after the recent update from EA. And I don't know if anyone else has had this. I know I've heard quite a few people mention it when I'm in Sims groups that I'm in, that there's items missing from certain packs, but they're not actually missing, they're just not showing up in the filters or certain categories. For me, I didn't realize here, but I spent ages looking for certain kitchen clutter that I know I use all the time, and it just wasn't where it normally is. And then when I move on to one of the other rooms, I filter through the everyday clutter kit, and half of my items were missing, and I was so confused at first. I thought maybe it was just a glitch in my own game, because they were there, like there was an item that I'd placed in another room and that was still there, but I'd saved, quit the game, and then the update had happened, and then when I come back that item was still there, but I could not for the life of me find it in the catalogue, even when I was filtering by that specific pack. And like I said, I've seen a few other people mention that, but it made building really hard because I don't really know my way around the catalogue very well, to be quite honest. I've only recently, probably the last year or so, got back into playing The Sims, and it's a very on and off basis. So I don't fully know where everything is, but when you know that there's a certain item with a certain pack and then you're filtering by that pack and you still can't find it, it was really frustrating. I do hope that EA fix this before I go in and build my next build. But yeah, if you've been struggling with that or wondering why items have just disappeared, rest assured that you're not the only one. So we moved on into the living room. I went for this really nice olive green furniture style for in here because I kind of felt as though this does feel quite traditional, but then these kind of colors have been quite trendy the past year, so it has that modern feel to it, but then still keeping with those traditional cottagey vibes as well. I decided to add the fireplace in here as well because I felt as though the grandma really loves this space, coming and sitting and chilling in here, maybe reading. She likes to have things like her photos on the table close to her. I just went for a pretty standard TV because I feel as though maybe she's not the type of person who watches TV very much. She's much more into reading and other hobbies. I did also place a few musical items around. I placed the guitar in here, and I wanted to kind of imagine that the mum used to play guitar when she was a child living here, because obviously this would have been her family home. And then I also placed the violin up in the kids' room because she's maybe wanting her daughter to follow in her footsteps. So I kind of tried to place a few activity hobby items around, because I know I'm not a big Sims game player because I feel as though I get quite bored quite quickly. So I like to have a lot of items around that have a lot of gameplay aspects to them, so that you can kind of build your sim skills easily and fill the space if you're not too sure what to do with certain sims, especially when you're playing with multiple sims at the same time. I did decide to come in and add a desk in here as well. I didn't want to go for anything too modern because I still wanted to imagine that this is the grandma's desk. She does still, she's hip enough and modern enough that she does go on the internet, but I didn't want it to look anything too fancy, because then up in the adults room I do add on, so the adult daughter's room, I do add in a computer that's like more specifically hers, because again she could have brought that from her previous home. So we're just finishing off also adding in a few little clutter bits, and I wanted to make sure there was lots of things like plants and that around in this build. I liked this cabinet over here, which kind of gives off the vibe that it has the sort of fancy dinnerware in, but it's got some other bits and bobs in there as well. And then we're just going to finish off by adding in some more of a cozy lighting, so it looks nice, a nice space to come and chill in of an evening. Then this little room over here, when I was building this, I was going to do this as a little office, and then I kind of felt as though an office didn't really suit The Sims, so I decided to make this into a little utility room, and I thought it worked well because it's close enough to the kitchen, it's next door to the bathroom, and then it's also when you first walk in from this side door. So I placed the washer dryer combo in here, and then I just added in some more kind of items that worked well for being close to the hallway. So you could use this storage thing for coats and shoes and things like that, and then you can close the door and they're out of the way. And it was just a bit of a small space, and it was nice to do a small space that wasn't an office or a bathroom, as that's what a lot of my small spaces end up being. And then down here I did do the large main bathroom. Now each of the bedrooms upstairs do have en suites, and they are like full en suites with showers or baths. I can't 100% remember what I put in them. And then in the grandma's room I did do like a little powder room, so there's just a toilet and a sink in there, but some of her like makeup-y, cluttery things. So I wanted this here to be like the main bathroom, but it's probably mostly going to be used by just if you're downstairs, or predominantly the grandma, because obviously the upper rooms have got en suites. But it was nice to do a larger bathroom. Usually my bathrooms are all quite small, so it was nice to work in a larger space and kind of make it look a little bit more fancy. And again, I wanted this to have more of the older traditional vibes, because I kind of imagined things like renovating kitchens and bathrooms are usually the most expensive in real life. So if the daughter had just moved home and she's sold her house and she's able to go around and maybe purchase modern furnishings and, you know, things like a modern dining table, but to come in and put a whole new bathroom in would be a little bit pricey. So I wanted to keep more of those grandma elements for the bathroom, and I do really like how it turned out. However, I feel as though the curtains do let it down a little bit with that more modern look to those. But I am very limited. I don't have all of the packs. I do want to purchase some new ones. If you have any recommendations, do let me know in the comments below. I feel as though I've got a lot of the popular ones. I've got a lot of the ones that originally released up until, say, I think I've got them all up until high school years, and then I don't have high school years or growing together, but I did purchase For Rent, and then I need to purchase Horse Ranch and Life and Death. But I dipped in and out of playing for a long time, but then I've really found my passion for playing again. So I do fancy just going and downloading the missing expansion packs that I have. But I'm not 100% sure on doing things like purchasing all the kits, for example. I've got a lot of the stuff packs already and the game packs, but I don't have all of the kits, because I feel as though the Sims really bash out launching kits, and there is so many. But I do love them because I feel as though for the price you get a decent amount of items, and you can just download the ones that suit your style and your gameplay, which is something I love, because I'm not the kind of person to waste money on just purchasing something because it comes out. When I first was playing The Sims, I would purchase a pack pretty much within a couple of weeks of it releasing, and then I didn't play for ages, so that's why I have those gaps in packs. And then I come back to playing around For Rent time, when For Rent was released, and I really loved that concept of For Rent, so I downloaded that straight away, and that kind of pushed me to get back into playing. And then since then I've really enjoyed playing, so then that was why I decided I would start recording videos and making speed builds on YouTube. I do have a little bit of video editing experience because I do a little bit of it in my day-to-day job, but it's been a challenge, and it's been a learning curve learning how to make Sims or gameplay videos where you're screen recording, and it's a completely different style of editing to what I'm used to. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, so I hope to make lots more videos. Moving on, we have moved into what would be the grandma's bedroom. I gave her the downstairs bedroom as I felt as though it just made sense, you know. And I wanted this to feel like a space that still really suited her personality. And I don't feel as though she's like this really old frumpy grandma. She's still got nice taste when it comes to furnishings and decor and things like that, so I still wanted this room to look really nice. And I loved the pale blue theme, and there was lots of nice things like the bedding matched the wallpaper really nicely. I decided to add a fireplace into this room as well, because I kind of wanted to imagine maybe she moved into this property originally before things like radiators and central heating were popular, so a lot of the main rooms had open fires, and she's decided to keep one in her bedroom as it is really cozy. So I kept that in there, and then just added in the necessities. I didn't want to add things like a TV into her room or anything like that, as I didn't feel as though that suited her personality, but I did in the daughter's room upstairs. But onto her little powder room, like I said, it is a very small room, and I didn't want to put a shower or a bath in here because it didn't feel like it would have made sense when she's quite close to the main bathroom downstairs. But she's got a toilet, a sink, and I just wanted it to have all of like nice things for when she's getting ready, so her makeup, her perfumes and things like that. So we popped all those in, and then we're going to move on to upstairs. Now upstairs I did end up changing the floor plan a little bit because I didn't like how it looked. Once I'd come in and fenced off the stairs and added on like that banister, I didn't like how it looked with the door there to one of the rooms, so I decided to completely change this around and move the ensuite for that room over to the other side so that we could place the door nicely. And then this room here, the first room we're going to be doing up here, is the adult mom's room. And then like I said, I kept with some of those stone wall features. I used them on both the external walls for the mum and the daughter's room. And then I painted it this nice sage green colour, but I wanted her room to look a little bit unfinished. So I kind of imagined she's just come, she's brought a lot of her things from her previous property. So I wanted it to look a little bit mismatched, and maybe in gameplay I can then come and make this room a bit more her, if that makes sense. But I added in all of the necessities that you would need. So she's got her wardrobe. I did put a desk up here as well, and a more sort of up-to-date laptop and chair, so it suits her personality a little bit more. I don't imagine that anyone here works from home, but I maybe imagine that she's got the kind of job where she needs a quiet space to sometimes catch up on work bits, so that's why she would opt to work up in her room rather than on the computer that's downstairs. And then I did put a TV up here because I kind of imagined if you was an adult person living at home with your mum, you might still want your own space to watch your own programs, maybe get comfy in bed. You might not want to always sit in the living room where your mum's watching TV, so it gives her a bit of her own space as well. But I don't really imagine her being this like really aesthetically pleasing person decor wise, so she's kind of just got her room looking a little bit undone. And that was also why I went for this wooden floor that looks a little bit undone, for it kind of just looks like your bare floorboards. And I went for this pretty much throughout all the house, as again I feel as though it gives off those halfway through a renovation look. On to her daughter's room, so what would be the granddaughter of the main sort of owner of the house. I wanted to go all out, like they've moved in and they've made sure that they've done the daughter's room up. So we've got this really pretty pastel peach wallpaper, and then I made sure things like the bedding and everything was a lot more matching in this room because they've wanted to make it special for her. She's been through a hard time. She recently lost her dad. She's had to move into her grandma's house, so they really wanted her to have a space that makes her feel as though she's at home. So I added in lots of nice cutesy things in here and wanted it to look really pretty and really girly to kind of match her personality. And I imagine she's quite young still. She's a child sim, but maybe not, because in the Sims I do feel as though they're really missing that preteen age gap. I'd love to see that added in. So I imagine though she's maybe like, I know we have toddlers and I always picture toddlers up until about the age of 3 in real life, so I'd say that she's maybe 5, and I wanted the room to reflect that. So lots of toys and things like that. And then again we've got her own ensuite as well, and I made this match her room, so it's very pink and pretty as well. And then I decided we would finish up indoors and jump on to the outside. And this is where I really felt as though there was a bigger back garden, because I wanted to kind of have some farmy vibes for the grandma, but then I also wanted it to feel as though it works for a family home as well. So I wanted to have things like the barbecue, the picnic table, things for the child to do. So I fitted in as much as I could in this small space. And then here as well, I did decide it'd be nice for them to have a pet as well. I pictured the grandma having a little cat, so I added in 2 pet beds and some pet bowls and some pet toys just throughout the build, because I popped that one down outside and then I thought we need to continue this on inside. And then we're just going to finish off the garden with some flowers. I wanted to imagine that maybe the grandma really does like her garden space. She's into pretty flowers, not necessarily the gardening skill in The Sims, or maybe actually. So I did pop down the planters, so that could be there for gameplay, but I just wanted to picture that she really enjoys having a really nice pretty garden to chill in. So I wanted to make sure, like the front of the house, I was really happy with the landscaping on the front of the house, so I wanted to continue that out through the back of the house, but then make sure it's still a fun space for the granddaughter as well. And then again, this kind of fits in with the just moved in look, because they've just added in the monkey bars and it's kind of just fitted there perfectly. Lastly, I'm just going to come in and add on some terrain paint. I used to always do this as I went, but for some reason now and then there's a glitch where when you save and exit your game, it deletes the terrain paint. So now I just save doing this to the end. I'm not sure if that glitch has been fixed yet, but I'm just going to come in and add some terrain paint just to make it look a little bit more realistic. So things like this pathway up to the bike, having that little bit of terrain paint down just makes it look a little bit more lived in and used. So I went around and did all of that, and then just added in some finishing touches. I have play tested this, so it will be play tested, like it's been play tested, so it will be up on the gallery as of when this video is up on YouTube. So if you'd like to download it, my gallery ID is in the description box below. It's just AmandaEssieYT, and I'm slowly adding all of my builds up there as well. So we're just going to finish off with a few screenshots. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. I'm very new to The Sims YouTube, but thank you to all of you who have watched my videos. It's really appreciated. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye bye.